On the outskirts of our sleepy little town stood an abandoned carnival, a relic of a bygone era. Its faded colors and decaying structures were a far cry from the vibrant, bustling hub of excitement it had once been. For years, locals avoided the place, telling stories of strange happenings and eerie sounds emanating from the old fairgrounds. But for us, a group of adventurous teens, the lure of the unknown was too tempting to resist. It was a warm summer night when we, Emma, Jack, Lisa, and I, decided to explore the carnival. Armed with flashlights and a sense of adventure, we climbed over the rusty fence, our footsteps echoing in the stillness. The moon hung low in the sky, casting long shadows over the dilapidated rides and games. The air was thick with the scent of mildew and something else, something metallic and sharp, like old blood. "Are we really doing this?" Lisa asked, her voice trembling slightly. "Come on, Lisa. It's just an old carnival," Jack replied, trying to sound brave. "What's the worst that could happen?" Emma, our unofficial leader, flashed a grin. "Let's find out." We wandered deeper into the carnival, passing the broken-down Ferris wheel, the rusting roller coaster, and the decrepit funhouse. The place seemed to have a life of its own, with creaking boards and the occasional flutter of movement in the shadows. Every so often, I'd catch a glimpse of something out of the corner of my eye, a figure, a shadow, but when I turned, there was nothing there. As we approached the center of the carnival, we came across an old game booth. The sign above it read, "Test your strength," but the letters were peeling and faded. The mallet lay on the ground, its handle cracked and splintered. "Let's see if any of us can still ring the bell," Emma suggested, picking up the mallet. Jack gave it a try first, but the mallet barely budged the weight. Lisa and I had similar results. Then Emma took her turn. She swung the mallet with all her might, and to our surprise, the weight shot up and hit the bell with a loud clang. "Looks like I still got it." Emma laughed, wiping her brow. Suddenly, the bell's ringing seemed to echo, growing louder and louder. We covered our ears, but the sound only intensified. Then, just as abruptly as it had started, the noise stopped. In the ensuing silence, we heard the faint sound of carnival music. "Where's that coming from?" Lisa asked, her voice barely above a whisper. We followed the music, our flashlights cutting through the darkness. The melody was hauntingly familiar, yet twisted and distorted. It led us to the old carousel. Unlike the rest of the carnival, the carousel seemed almost untouched by time. The paint was still vibrant, and the horses looked lifelike, their glassy eyes reflecting the moonlight. "That's weird," Jack muttered. "This looks almost new." We hesitated for a moment, then Emma stepped forward and climbed onto one of the horses. The moment she did, the carousel started to move. The music grew louder, more discordant, and the horses began to move up and down, their once lifelike expressions twisting into grotesque smiles. "Emma, get off!" I shouted, but it was too late. The carousel was spinning faster and faster, the horses' eyes glowing with an eerie light. We tried to pull Emma off, but an invisible force seemed to hold her in place. She looked terrified, her hands gripping the horse's mane as the carousel spun wildly. The music became a cacophony of sound, and the air around us grew cold. Then, as suddenly as it had started, the carousel stopped. Emma slumped forward, unconscious. We managed to pull her off the horse and lay her on the ground. Her face was pale, and she was shivering uncontrollably. "We need to get out of here," Jack said, his voice shaking. "This place isn't right." We tried to carry Emma, but she was too heavy for us. Just as we were about to panic, a figure emerged from the shadows. It was an old man, his face weathered and lined, with eyes that seemed to glow in the darkness. "You shouldn't be here," he said, his voice low and raspy. "The carnival isn't safe after dark." "Who are you?" I asked, my heart pounding. "The caretaker," he replied. "This place, it's cursed. The spirits of those who died here are trapped, and they hunger for more souls." "That's just a story," Jack protested. But the old man shook his head. "It's no story, boy. This carnival was built on cursed land. The owner, in his greed, ignored the warnings. Now, the spirits seek vengeance. We looked around, the eerie atmosphere of the carnival suddenly feeling even more oppressive. The old man gestured for us to follow him, and we had little choice but to comply. He led us to a small, dilapidated building at the edge of the fairgrounds. Inside, it was surprisingly warm and dry. The old man laid Emma on a cot and began to mix some herbs and liquids in a small pot. "What's that?" Lisa asked, watching him closely. "A remedy," he replied. "She'll be fine, but you all need to leave and never come back." We watched as he applied the mixture to Emma's forehead. Gradually, her shivering stopped and her color began to return. She opened her eyes, looking confused but unharmed. "What happened?" she whispered. "We'll explain later," I said, relief washing over me. "We need to get out of here." The old man nodded. "Go now, while you can. And remember, the carnival spirits are always watching." We hurried out of the building and made our way back to the fence. As we climbed over, I looked back one last time. The carnival was dark and silent once more, the rides and booths standing like silent sentinels in the night. The old man was gone, and the only sound was the wind rustling through the trees. We never spoke of that night again, not even to each other. The carnival remained abandoned, a place of mystery and fear. But every now and then, on quiet nights, I could swear I heard faint music drifting on the breeze, and I'd remember the caretaker's warning. The Carnival of Shadows was a place best left alone, where the spirits of the past lingered, waiting for the next group of foolish adventurers to stumble into their grasp.